Welcome to Unstoppable, where dreams turn into plans and plans turn into powerful action. Hosted by Paula Swain, financial planner, business owner, grandma, and queen of reinvention. This show is for women ready to stop surviving and start thriving. We'll laugh, we'll learn, and we'll tackle the messy, beautiful, in-between parts of life that no one really talks about, but we all live through. This is Unstoppable.
Hi, and welcome to Unstoppable. I'm Paula Swain, your host and financial planner with the Financial Center for Women. So we have a recurring guest, my friend Tara Ondusky. And I can't remember what we talked about before, but this time we're going to talk about finding joy.
Okay, let's do that.
So
Let's
welcome, Tara.
Thank you.
Okay. You know, we just talked to our mutual friend Lisa a couple weeks ago about her book and how you inspired her to write that book.
I did. We were having a conversation over coffee, and she was telling me about some of these stories, and I said, that sounds like a book to me. And a friend of mine that I had gone through my coaching cohort with had just published a book, and so I knew kind of a little bit about what it looked like to go do that. And so we started talking about it, and
there she went.
Yeah.
And one of the things she talks about is that she started with finding, through her divorce, was finding, gratitude, and then working with affirmations, and then finding joy. And I know for myself, I was doing really good on joy, and then I started writing my personal memoir, and then it kind of things just kind of got a little not overwhelming, but just a lot going on. And then I just realized the other day, I forgot to be doing joyful things.
Yeah.
And I started adding them back in.
Yeah. When we live, just kind of live our lives daily, it's really easy to forget the joy because we're very task-oriented people as human beings, right? It's part of the energy that we bring to this world. One of those pieces is I need to win, right? And to win looks like checking the box and getting all the things done. But when we do that, we can kind of forget a little bit.
So I know you do this, and I've done this exercise before with finding your joy and how you talk about going back to when you were a kid and what made you happy.
Yeah. So I love mind maps. It's the way that I create ideas about things and I find themes in things. I did this when I was trying to figure out my own career journey. I was in a place in my work where I was like, I don't remember this being the dream at 12. Like, this isn't it. And I was very much in that place of checking the box and getting the paycheck and doing all the things. And so I sat down and wrote down all the things that bring me joy. And I did that in a mind map. So a mind map is basically an idea in the middle, and then you just draw octopus arms around it and write ideas that align to that, right? So I thought about, what brings me joy at work? Well, I really loved helping people figure out how to get things done well and make their work better. What did I like doing at home? Well, I loved spending time with my kids and supporting them in whatever their dreams were. In terms of what I loved about other things that I did with friends, my friends and I, created this Christmas gift giving event every year, and I loved helping organize and coordinate that. And what I realized was I like helping connect people to things, and I loved helping people figure out a purposeful path. Once I figured that out, it set me on a path to where I am today. So it's about kind of going back and looking at those things. What I have people do in the mind map exercise that I give them is I have them think about all the things that were fun and joyful for them, all the way back to when they were a little kid. For me, it was the joy of riding my bike down the street for the first time, all by myself, and what that felt like to be that free, right? That then leads you to what do you value? We value things like that freedom and being able to do the things we want to do. So if you can think about it that way, you can start then to look for it. And when you see it, you can create gratitude for yourself about seeing the joy. Right?
I think that's my number one joy is freedom.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want that? In all aspects of your life.
So how would you define freedom for you?
So freedom to me is the ability to to get up every day and enjoy it for all that it has to offer without worrying about how it's going to happen.
Yeah, so being present for it and sitting in it in the moment.
Yeah. So, you know, with what I do, a lot of people look for financial freedom so that they, you know, they can do what I was just talking about, that they don't have to worry about money. But even having money doesn't bring you joy.
Right. Absolutely.
You know, you can have nothing and still have, and those are the people that amaze me, that have nothing but live a life of joy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you think about all of the things that, you know, that bring you joy, very little of them for me have anything to do with money. It's never about what I'm spending my money on. About it's what maybe it's about what I'm creating with my money. You know, if I have an opportunity to spend money on a nice vacation with my family and that creates connection with family, then that brings me joy. But it's never about the money itself. It's about the relationship to the people in my life.
Which brings up a lot of things about gift giving. Like a lot of people spend so much money on Christmas buying the perfect gift that somebody might play with for a nanosecond and then never pick up again. Or if you're like my kids, you go into their closet and you find that shirt you thought they would love with the tag still hanging on at 6 months because they hated it, never told you. But experience. Instead of buying things during experiences, which lots of times can be no cost if it's walking in the woods or going to the park, or and those are the things that everybody remembers. So when you think back, doing a mapping exercise when you're in your 40s trying to figure it out, you'll be like, oh, what brought me joy was going to the park with my grandparents or doing this or doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, we've actually made that a requirement for us as we buy gifts for our family. You remind me of that. And that's part of the joy of it, to see people experience what you're giving them. So a really good example, my grandson was kind of trying to decide what he wanted to do athletically, right? The whole family was kind of athletic except for me. And he didn't want to really play sports. So we bought him a gift certificate to Grit, which is a local gym that you're familiar with. And thought he could just try it. It's kind of, they do fun things with kids, like around Ninja Warrior training. They've got the warp wall and stuff. He loved it. And now he runs Spartan races with them and, has really stuck with it. So, and it's been a joy for us to watch him grow into that experience and every year get a little bit better. So it's fun to be able to think about what we do in a way that is viewed through the lens of joy, right?
Right. The one thing about, I think, with Grit is that you have so many challenges there with all the different obstacles that even if you do one poorly, there's so much joy that you did it, even if it's poorly, because the next time you're going to succeed and then you get better and faster. I mean, it's really a good program, especially I think to build kids' confidence.
Yeah, and it's a really nice reminder for me about where where joy is in the hard things, right? Sometimes things not out of our own control, or things that we choose to do that are hard, in hindsight can bring us joy. So your point about presence is important even in the hard, because you can find the joy in that, right? You can find the joy in just trying something new and seeing how it goes. I always talk to my clients about this when they feel like they're kind of hitting the wall and they're stuck and they're not sure like how to go forward. And a lot of times fear comes up, right? But I ask them, what would be joyful if you tried and actually it worked? And it gets us to the point where you can just try the one thing. Just take the one step to try it, right? Just run the warp wall once, or, go try and run around the block once, whatever it is you're going to do, right? It's important to do that. And it's fun once you figure out, hey, I can do that.
Funny you brought up fear. Because Monday, well, Monday's irrelevant to the whole conversation, but I was telling you that I started to take horseback riding lessons, and I fell. And I had a bad day that morning off. Like, I just had this conversation that I couldn't, and I was trying to find something to be grateful with that conversation and I just couldn't, right? So I go horseback riding, and, you know, we start cantering, and my head's not completely in the thing, and then, you know, Scott's saying, relax, relax, right, relax, relax, like all this is going on. And I couldn't figure out why this is like, you know how you have those days? And I woke up 2 days later, and because then something else happened, and I'm like, you know, it's not my norm, right? And it was fear of falling, right? The truth is in the getting back up and riding.
Absolutely.
And it had
And the
nothing
joy,
to do with the horse.
Yeah.
It was about something, that
Yeah.
whole thing that
Yeah.
was going on. And I was like, well, I think God, universe, whatever you want to call it, made me fall off the horse to get me there.
Maybe, but the other interesting thing that your coach friend Deb would tell you is that because you were here, you weren't connected to the horse, and so it was much easier for you to fall off the horse because you weren't connected to it in the moment, right?
Could be either that or my jeans, because I just slid.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than
But
falling off a horse.
I think that a lot of times you go through the day and you're having a bad day, and you're just trying to find that little aspect of something to be grateful for, something to be joy, and it's there.
Yeah, absolutely.
You just may have to look really, really hard for it.
Yeah. I had that day also earlier this week where I was trying an exercise that I had no business trying, and I hurt my back, and I was in excruciating pain. And I was thinking in the middle of, you know, screaming in pain, that I was so grateful for my husband, because had he not been there, I couldn't have gotten up. Like, I was on the floor, could not get up.
Wow.
And he was right there, and he made sure that, you know, I didn't do anything worse, and that I got to the doctor and did all the things. And I was just so grateful that he had, you know, he had the presence to say, I just need to stop right now and focus on this, because if I don't, she's going to hurt herself worse, because I was so frustrated. And I couldn't see that, right? I didn't know, because I was in so much pain. I was just trying to push myself through it. So, yeah.
Well, we both had a bad week.
Yeah. Much better at that now, though.
Well, you healed quickly.
I did, actually. I did. So I must be doing something right, because I have been doing some things there's some joy in that as well. I've been doing some things to change the way I eat and the way I move, and it's been a slow progression. But I think the fact that I've done those things actually helped me recover, because this is a repeating back injury. This isn't something I just did. I just aggravated it. So, yeah, I was happy and grateful for that.
Yeah, and most people would go down that negative train. Oh my God, I can't believe this happened to me. I'm in pain and blah, 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 and I'm going to whine about it.
When I got up the next day and my pain was like cut in half. I was like, okay, let's dance. I'm ready.
You're like me. And like, when I sat down that night when I got back home, and my son was over, and I was sitting in the chair, and I had to, you know, get up, and after I fell off the horse, and I was like shuffling. And I'm like, this is not good.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, but it's okay. And I got up the next morning, and I didn't hop out, but I got up, and I wasn't shuffling. And I'm like, I'm grateful that I wasn't, you know, in some sort of having to run to the emergency or something like that. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I think there's always finding joy. So what do you do for someone who can't find it?
First, most important thing for somebody who's in a place where they're just not finding joy is to hold space for them and allow them to process through that, because it's important to meet people where they are, right? I can't force somebody to feel joy or be happy, or I wish I could. I've tried it, you know, many times over my life. It does not work. But what I do find is that if I can hold space for somebody, meaning I can sit and listen to them, and they understand that I hear them, and I can reflect back to them what I'm hearing and how that must feel, then typically they're more willing to explore, okay, what might it look like to move out of this if I could, even just for a little bit. So it's about understanding where people are and knowing that they may not be able to move out of joy depending on where they are, right? If somebody's in a lot of grief and a lot of pain, it's hard to do that, right? There's a lot of things that have to get processed before you can move to a space where you can try and grab some joy, right? Joy is about moments for me. It's not about creating, a place where I'm joyful all the time or happy all the time. It's about taking the
I don't think
moment.
that's possible, is it?
I don't know. I've never experienced it. Maybe.
I've never experienced it either, because all things can be going right, but somebody else is having a bad day, and they decide it's now going to be your problem.
Mm-hmm.
And no, I do know that you don't take that on, but it's still, it does affect you in some ways.
It does, absolutely. And it affects the giver too. I can tell you perfectly honestly that I have been the person that's had a bad day and wanted to share that, right? And it doesn't feel good when you do it.
No.
And you're doing it. But yeah, and in those moments, trying even to acknowledge for yourself, well, I'm not in a good place right now to do this. I probably need to step out. That's also important to be able to do, right?
Oh, that's true growth.
Yeah.
When you can realize that you're not in a good place.
Yeah.
And you need to walk away.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that takes a lot of knowing about yourself.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah.
And paying attention to how it feels. And that's the thing about joy. If you can learn how to grab it and harness it, then you know how that feels, right? And a lot of times people are going after, what's the thing that makes me happy? What do I want to do that makes me happy? And as you said earlier, it's not spending your money. It's not making more money. Most of the time it's about being present to what's right in front of you in the relationships that you're in. But if you can...
It can be so simple as walking into a store and the cutest little baby's right there and just smiles at you or says hi.
Yeah.
And that's immediate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Joy. Even if you're in a bad mood, nobody cannot smile at a cute baby.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So if you can just, spend some time finding the moments and giving yourself permission to look for them, that matters.
Yeah, looking for them. I mean, it can be trying sometimes, but if you practice it every day, it gets easier and easier.
It does. One of my favorite sayings is, it's by Anais Nin. She said, "We see the world as we are, not as it is." Meaning all of our experiences to date are what inform how we see the world. So if we've had a lot of bad experiences and we tend to see the world pretty negatively, it can be hard to overcome that. But I will tell you from experience, it's doable, right? It's your mindset, and you have to decide, I want to try and see this differently. And sometimes it's asking the question, how true is this right now?
Most of everything is not true.
Yeah.
All the stories we've told each other,
Yeah.
maybe a small part of that story is true, but that story has gotten exaggerated over time, and you've added to it, or
what's true for you is not true for me. Maybe two different truths. My brothers and I laugh all the time about the very different experiences we had with our parents.
I know.
Very different.
My sister goes, "You remember when we did this?" No.
Yeah. Yeah. Or how we even experienced it, where they thought it was hysterically funny, or I did, and they didn't think it was funny at all.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, what is there? There's three sides to everything: your side, my side, and the truth of it.
Yeah.
And everybody's experience is different, because I'm looking at you, and I see the light over here, and I see the green curtain, and I see this. I have no idea what you're seeing behind me, but that's influencing your experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I learned that in marriage counseling.
Yeah.
I learned that was a good thing to learn, because everybody interprets things differently.
Yeah, absolutely. And joy is no different, right? What brings you joy is not going to bring me joy always, and vice versa. And so really understanding how you see the world and how that affects you and influences the way you see things or experience things matters. That's part of the growth that we go through as human beings. And I think it's part of our journey. I think it's part of why we're here, is to be able to experience the world and understand how we want to see it from a place of joy, love, happiness, interaction and connection with people. And I think
I agree
that
with you.
matters. Yeah.
I agree with you. And I think it's very important with the time period we're in right now and what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
We don't talk about the P word, but what's going on, that you can just go down this negative
Absolutely.
train, or you can find that this really has nothing to do with me. And I'm going to go over here and I'm going to take my dog for a walk.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wrote a LinkedIn post about this. I was reading an article by one of the larger consulting houses, McKinsey, and it was talking about the economy and the financial world related to how the amount of change going on is creating emerging markets that people didn't see. And I thought, isn't that interesting? I wonder how as human beings that would work. Because you have to be resilient. You have to be able to see what's emerging. You have to be able to have all the right connections, right? And that's important as human beings. We've got to be connected to each other. We can't solely rely on, the technology and the tools to support us. We have to connect to actual human beings and have a conversation. And we have to ask for what we need and the support we need in order to be resilient. And if we don't do those things, then it becomes harder and harder to interact and emerge, right? And to grow. So it's, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I took that from that financial article, but I was
pretty
looking at it from
profound.
a very
Wow.
human point of view. Like, what would that look like if I were just talking about human beings? Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. So.
And connection is so important.
Absolutely it is. And if you don't do all those things as human beings, how is your company going to grow, right? So sometimes we get so focused on what the next dollar is going to be, or what the next growth objective is going to be, or what the next, team event is going to be that we're going to knock it out of the park this year with, right? But if you don't have all the human beings connected in it, it won't matter because you won't get it done.
You can even take that down into a family unit.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah. So the point being again,
You're a smart lady.
Thank you. The point being again, though, is that there's joy in that connection, right? So if you can just make that connection, it'll be fun. I just did it before I came in here. One of the guys that does a TV show here is a musician, and my brother's a musician, and I said, hey, you need to talk to my brother. So I introduced him. I had a text before I walked in. And
oh, really?
hopefully my brother will be on a show. Who knows?
Yeah.
But that would be a lot of joy for me if that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do find a lot of joy in connecting with people, but the right people. Don't you think? Like,
Well,
I can't do a negative Nelly.
Well, I would say I don't know who the right people are. Like, if I met you on the street, I wouldn't know if you were the right person to connect with or not,
But
until I made the attempt, right? Until I tried. Right. And
but even that could be just a minor connection of
could be.
me saying, love your scarf.
Yeah.
And
could
that
be.
made you feel good.
Yeah.
Made
absolutely.
me feel good because I said something kind.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But I try not to think about, and this is not easy, so I'm not saying I'm a saint at this, but I try to reserve judgment. I think this is something I learned in my coaching practice. I have to reserve judgment when I'm coaching people because I don't want my opinion to matter. I want theirs to matter, right? And so I've become really good at being intentional about that. And so I find myself as I walk into new situations, just being curious, like, it seems very important for you to be able to share that with me and get that out to everybody. I wonder what's going on there, right? And it might cause me to ask a question, right?
Yeah, I think that's because
I wouldn't otherwise ask.
I think that's the way because it's who you are.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I think.
But that's some of that's a learned skill. It's not. It's coming from my heart because I want people to feel comfortable and connect with each other. But it's a learned skill. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Sometimes when you encounter that negativity, it's hard to yes, when somebody's having a day,
Mm-hmm.
it has nothing to do with you. It's all about what's going on with them. And trying not to go down that train with them or allow them to affect you in any way can be difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's easier just to walk away.
Sometimes it is. Yeah. Sometimes it is.
Than to ask a question.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it is. And sometimes like I said, I'm in a space where I'm like, no, it's not a good time to ask a question because I'm not really in the place where I can hear the answer. Right.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. There are times where you just have to walk away because it's just not a good way to introduce or connect in a conversation.
So today you found joy with connecting your
I did. I'm hoping.
Your brother and
Yeah, I'm hoping that they're
Jim is his
Jim
name.
Powers. Yeah.
Jim Powers.
Yeah.
What else did you find joy in today?
Well, outside of the fact that I could get up and move this morning and I wasn't in any pain, I found.
I'm surprised you're from what you described. I'm really surprised you're not having some.
I can't believe it. I can't believe that I'm not in as much pain as I was.
I'm still sore from falling.
Yeah, it was. The doctor said to me, "What's the scale?" I said, I would have said when it first happened a 9 or a 10. It was that bad. By the time I got to the doctor, it was probably a 5. But today I've had very little pain, so I'll take it. I'm happy. I will take it, and I'm just being cautious. So, yeah. But what else brought me joy? I'm working on a speech for Inforum. I got invited to do their West Michigan Women's Day conference, and I'm the workshop facilitator. So I'm doing a workshop on generosity, and the topic is, what if the gift is you? Because
what a great topic.
So their topic is generosity for their Women's Day event. And they've got a keynote coming in, and then I'm going to do the workshop facilitation, and then I think they have a closing speaker. And so I'm going to do the workshop on how we bring ourselves as a gift, that we are the gift in terms of being generous.
I'd love to hear that. Are they going to record it?
Uh-huh. Yeah. But so I'm putting together a workbook. I make these things called purpose playbooks. I have a purpose playbook for joy.
Right.
And so I created one for generosity. So I was working on that today, and that was a lot of fun.
I'm going to throw you under the bus right now. But your joy mapping thing?
Yeah.
Is there an ability to get a link to that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why don't we do that? I'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, I'll send you the QR code for it.
Yeah.
And people can download it if they choose. Yeah. And all it does is it asks you to think about those things that brought you joy. And then I ask you to think about how that would look today. What would that look like right now? If you could go do that, what would bring you joy? And then I ask you to brainstorm some ideas about how you can bring more of that into your life.
Okay, so your joy when you were a kid was riding your bike. Do you ride a bike?
I do not ride a bike, but part of riding a bike was being outside and being kind of in nature. And so one of the things that brings me great joy now is we have property up north, and I get to go spend time wandering the property outside. And
so after we did that joy mapping, I can't remember what I was at where we did that joy mapping. One of my things was riding a bike too when I was a kid, because we lived on a busy street, so we just had the sidewalks, and we, just a few kids in the neighborhood. And so I went and bought a bike. And
did you?
Notoriously, Paula, falls off of it. So. But I love it.
Yeah, it's fun. It is fun. Yeah.
So how does somebody get a hold of you?
You can, a couple of different ways. Most of my social media communication is on LinkedIn. So Tara Ondusky, just look me up on LinkedIn, or Origin Coaching, and is the name of my practice. And my website is origincoaching.net. So.
Well, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So Tara is probably one of the smartest people I know. And whenever I have an issue or I need to talk through something, it's you that I think of.
Thanks.
So I really do appreciate you being in my life.
Yeah, thank you.
So this has been Unstoppable, where we dream, grow, and thrive. Talk to you next week.
Thanks for watching Unstoppable. Do you have a question for Paula? Send it our way. To schedule a one-on-one consultation, give us a call. Unstoppable is brought to you by Paula Swain and the Financial Center for Women. Dream, grow, thrive.